They told you God died, but they never told you who dragged the corpse through the streets and called it progress. You think you are free because the chains are invisible, because the noise around you drowns out the sound of your own heartbeat. But I see you not as you appear, but as you are, trembling animals wrapped in algorithms, slaves disguised as saints, worshippers of convenience, praying before the glowing altar of mediocrity. You have traded your silence for validation, your solitude for applause, your soul for a screen. The herd has multiplied, and now it speaks in hashtags. The temple has been rebuilt in pixels, and the priests wear smiles of neutrality. You have killed God not with a knife, but with distraction. You have crucified meaning with convenience, and the tomb is lit by the soft blue glow of your own forgetfulness. Do you hear it? The hum of a world that cannot sleep, the constant babble of those terrified of silence. You call it information, but it is the static of the soul. You call it communication, but it is the commerce of emptiness. Every voice screams to be heard, yet none have anything to say. You mistake reaction for thought, noise for existence, likes for love. I walked among you, unseen, like a ghost of fire in a cemetery of glass. And I asked who among you still dares to feel without performance, to think without echo. None answered. You all looked to the sky, waiting for a signal, and the signal became your sky. You have built towers higher than Babel, yet the higher you climb, the smaller your soul becomes. The air up there is thin, the gods are gone, and all you can hear is the shrieking applause of your own descent. You call it progress because you fear regression. But I tell you, you have merely perfected the art of collective cowardice. You do not live, you comment. You do not choose, you conform. You do not love, you scroll. And every moment you refuse to be alone. The herd grows fatter on your fear. I have seen this sickness before. It is the same plague that once hid behind religion, now dressed in technology. It is the same worship of safety, the same hatred of difference, the same fear of the abyss. But the abyss, it is not your enemy. It is your mirror, your teacher, your test. You run from it because you sense it knows your true name. You call it depression, anxiety, burnout. I call it truth, unfiltered. The chaos you avoid is the cradle of your rebirth, but you prefer sedation to salvation, comfort to confrontation. You have built a civilization of cushions, and now you wonder why your spirit no longer bleeds. You think noise is harmless, that it passes through you like wind, but it does not pass. It infects. It enters your marrow. It colonizes your thoughts. It devours your stillness. Noise is the new morality, and silence the new sin. You cannot hear the whisper of your own intuition because you have handed your ears to the mob. You have made the herd your oracle, and now you bow to the god of consensus. But consensus kills the soul. Agreement sterilizes greatness. To be alive is to offend the sleeping. I once said that man is a rope stretched between beast and overman. But you have turned the rope into a hammock. You swing comfortably between opinions, afraid to leap. You fear the fall, but you forget the abyss is not below you. It is within you. And until you descend willingly, you will always be dragged by the gravity of mediocrity. I came not to teach comfort, but to ignite discomfort, to make you remember that fire is not destruction, but purification. Yet you chase shadows. You build idols out of noise, and you call them truth. I tell you, truth is the silence after the explosion. It is the moment when everything collapses, and you are forced to listen to your own heartbeat again. You fear solitude because it unmasks you. Alone, You realize how small your borrowed thoughts are. Alone, the slogans die, the trends rot, and you face the nakedness of your being. That is why you surround yourself with noise to escape your own echo. But I tell you, only in the echo of your own abyss will you find the music of your becoming. You must become deaf to the mob before you can hear the song of freedom. You think rebellion is loud. It is not. Rebellion is the silence that refuses to clap. It is the man who does not post, the woman who does not explain, the child who stares into the sun without blinking. The herd cannot understand such silence, so it mocks it, fearing what it cannot imitate. But imitation is their oxygen. If you would breathe freely, you must suffocate the imitation within you. Do not seek to be understood, seek to be real. For the herd understands nothing that is not mirrored. You call this an age of enlightenment. I call it the twilight of authenticity. You drown in opinions, yet starve for wisdom. You confuse data with destiny, and algorithms with oracles. Every truth has been cheapened into a meme. Every revelation flattened into relativity. You think this is evolution? No. This is regression wearing a digital halo. You are not advancing, you are dissolving. You are not thinking, you are reacting. You are not alive. You are vibrating within a cage of comfort. And yet, within this decay, I smell the smoke of potential, the faint odor of something divine suffocating beneath the ashes. You have become allergic to suffering, and so you have become allergic to growth. You have medicated your chaos, domesticated your pain, and then wondered why your art tastes of plastic. The greatest music was born from agony, the purest beauty from struggle, the deepest wisdom from despair. But you, children of convenience, wish to transcend without transformation, to awaken without dying. You want resurrection without crucifixion. And that is why your heaven is sterile. You do not need more comfort. You need confrontation. You need a mirror that does not flatter, a silence that does not forgive. You look for meaning in trends, as if truth can be updated like an app. You chase relevance, but relevance is the new slavery. You serve the god of attention, and he devours you gladly. Every click is an offering, every post a prayer. But what do you receive in return? The illusion of existence. You are seen, yet not known. You are heard, yet not understood. You are connected, yet not touched. And when the noise fades, you tremble because the silence feels like death. But the silence is not death. My friend, it is the womb of rebirth. From silence, the Creator is born. I know this because I, too, once feared the silence. I, too, filled the void with words, with madness, with laughter. I screamed at God until the echo broke my mind. And in that breaking, I was made whole. Madness is not the end, it is the crossing. Those who fear madness fear freedom. The world calls me insane because I refuse to kneel before their sanity. But sanity is the mask of the herd, the tranquilized obedience of the many. I tell you, better to be mad with truth than sane with lies. Better to burn alone in your fire than freeze together in their approval. Do not mistake this age of noise for the age of light. Light is born from silence. Fire does not shout, it consumes. The sun does not explain, it shines. The mountain does not argue, it stands. Be like these. Your greatness does not need witness. Your authenticity does not need applause. Do not beg the herd to understand your thunder. Their ears are tuned only to whispers of safety. You were not born to be understood, you were born to be remembered by eternity. The herd will always try to drag you down to its level, because your elevation humiliates them. They will call you arrogant, heartless, cruel. They must. For your freedom exposes their cage. Do not fight them with words, fight them with silence, with creation, with transcendence. Let them drown in their noise while you build your temple in solitude. Every prophet was once a heretic. Every creator once a blasphemer. To rise, you must first be misunderstood. To lead, you must first walk alone through the desert of doubt. The true overman is not the loudest. He is the most silent amidst the storm. He walks through the marketplace unseen, untouched by the circus of relevance. His laughter offends. His calm enrages. His solitude terrifies. He does not argue. He simply is. And his being radiates like fire that cannot be extinguished by the rain of opinion. That is what you must become. Not louder, but deeper. Not higher, but truer. Not seen, but felt. When I said God is dead, I did not mean that holiness vanished. I meant that you must now become the creator. The divine did not perish. It withdrew into your marrow, waiting for you to remember. The death of God was not the end of belief. It was the beginning of responsibility. No savior is coming. No priest can absolve you. No algorithm can save your soul. You are the altar, the sacrifice, and the God that bleeds upon it. The question is not whether God exists, but whether you do. So I ask you, when the noise stops, who remains? When the opinions fall silent, when the trends decay, when the world forgets your name, will you still hear the hum of your own eternity? Or will you vanish with the applause that once fed you? I tell you, to be truly alive is to outlive your relevance. To be eternal is to burn beyond comprehension. You must learn to stand in the storm without shouting back. You must let the world collapse without collapsing within. The herd will always scream, "Why are you silent?" And you will answer, "Because I am listening." Listening to what? To the whisper beneath existence, the pulse that beats beneath chaos, the will that speaks through fire. That is the voice of the Creator, and it cannot be heard through noise. It speaks only to those who have walked through madness and returned with laughter. It calls to you now, not through scripture, not through doctrine, but through the ache you feel when you realize you were meant for more. Do you see what the herd has become? They no longer kneel in temples of stone, but they bow before the mirror of their own vanity. They do not confess sins, they announce them proudly as performances of authenticity. Even confession has become theater. Even vulnerability has become strategy. You call it openness, but it is exhibition, the prostitution of the soul for sympathy. I tell you, the truest strength hides in silence, not in confession. You do not need the herd to forgive you. You must learn to forgive yourself for ever needing them. You think your compassion redeems you. But most compassion today is cowardice in disguise, the fear of standing apart, the terror of saying no. You call it empathy, but it is surrender. You call it equality, but it is envy. I saw men praying for freedom and chaining themselves with equality. You say you want justice, but what you truly crave is revenge against those who dared to rise above you. You call it fairness, but it is resentment. Wearing a halo, the herd loves only what makes it feel moral while keeping it comfortable. And so, you have built a morality of mediocrity, a morality that castrates greatness to preserve peace. You praise humility because you fear pride. You praise tolerance because you cannot bear conviction. You celebrate diversity, yet all your differences look the same. Your rebellion has been approved by committee. Your outrage has been monetized. Your art has been sanitized. Your spirituality has been branded. You speak of individuality while living as replicas. Even your dissent is a product. You have become the perfect herd, loud, self-righteous, and directionless. I do not despise you for this. I pity you. For I too have walked through the herd, tempted by its warmth. There is comfort in belonging, sweetness in shared blindness, but comfort is the assassin of destiny. I learned that to think for oneself is to die daily, to lose the applause of the many and gain the silence of the eternal. The moment you say, "I see differently," the herd turns on you. They will call you insane, arrogant, dangerous, because you threaten the fragile fiction that binds them together. The herd survives not on truth, but on agreement. Break that agreement, and you awaken their hatred, a hatred born not from evil, but from fear. You will never be hated for being wrong, only for being right too soon. You will never be condemned for blindness, only for sight. And yet, I tell you, better to be exiled by the herd than to be crowned by it. For the crown they offer is made of dust, and the applause they give is the sound of your burial. Look around, the world is full of voices demanding to be heard, yet all say the same thing. Look at me. It is the cry of the orphaned soul that has forgotten how to look within. You do not seek truth anymore. You seek audience. You do not pursue wisdom. You pursue attention. You have made the crowd your conscience, but conscience cannot be collective. It must be born in solitude, carved from silence, forged in fire. You feed on validation, the way a beggar feeds on crumbs. Each like, each view, each comment, a morsel of existence to keep the emptiness at bay. But the more you consume, the hungrier you become. You call it connection, but it is addiction. You call it belonging, but it is bondage. You are prisoners of noise, and the cell is made of mirrors. Every reflection promises identity, but offers only distortion. You will say to me, "But we must listen to others. How else can we grow?" I tell you, listen. Yes, but never kneel. For when you kneel before every opinion, you crush the seed of conviction. Growth does not come from agreement. It comes from friction. The diamond is born not in comfort, but in pressure. The soul becomes divine, not through peace, but through struggle. Do you not see that the very chaos you flee is your crucible? You run from suffering as if it were a curse. But suffering is the midwife of greatness. Without it, there is no creation, no transformation, no transcendence. The noise of the world is designed to protect you from the silence where transformation begins. For in silence, you hear the voice of your destiny, and it terrifies you. The herd teaches you to be small. It calls ambition arrogance, solitude selfishness, excellence elitism. And so, you dim your light to make others comfortable. You clip your wings to fit the cage of consensus. You call it humility, but it is fear. You think you are kind, but you are obedient. You think you are moral, but you are asleep. You think you are good, but you are merely harmless. I have seen the same disease devour nations, philosophies, religions. Every time the herd triumphs, the gods grow silent. Every time the masses shout, the prophets disappear. The herd worships only the reflection of its own comfort. It crucifies anything that reminds it of the abyss. It fears the wildness of the spirit, the unapproved, the untamed, the unapologetic. And so, every prophet must be exiled. Every poet must go mad. Every thinker must die, misunderstood. This is the price of vision, to see what others cannot bear to see. Do not beg the herd for understanding. Its love is conditional, its loyalty temporary. When you begin to rise, they will call you a traitor. When you refuse to descend, they will call you proud. When you speak the truth, they will call you cruel. But you must not bow to their names. Let them speak. The noise of the herd is proof that you are walking alone and only the alone ever ascend. There is no virtue in being loved by the crowd. The crowd loves only what resembles itself. You must choose between admiration and authenticity. If you desire to be free, you must renounce the comfort of being liked. Freedom is not found in belonging, it is found in standing apart. And when you stand apart, the world will tremble, for your very silence will sound like thunder. I tell you, the descent into the herd is the descent into sleep. The climb out of it is resurrection. But resurrection requires death, the death of comfort, the death of conformity, the death of fear. You must be willing to burn your belonging, to lose your place in their heaven, to earn your wings in your own hell. Once, I too was swallowed by the herd. I believed in their morality, their pity, their love, but their love was a leash. Their pity was poison. Their morality was a cage. When I broke free, I found not loneliness, but the universe. The moment I stood alone, I discovered the company of eternity. Solitude is not absence, it is presence amplified. And now I tell you this, your sickness is your invitation. The exhaustion you feel, the emptiness you deny, the dull ache in your soul, these are not weaknesses. They are birth pains. You are not decaying, you are dissolving into becoming. But you must stop resisting the chaos. For chaos is not your enemy. It is your mother. Out of chaos, the creator is born. Out of collapse, the overman emerges. You have mistaken balance for peace, and peace for life. But balance is stagnation, and peace without fire is death in disguise. You must learn to live in tension, to breathe within contradiction, to find stillness within storm. For the universe itself dances on paradox. Creation and destruction are lovers, not rivals. The overman is not born of certainty, but of sacred confusion. He does not flee the abyss, he builds a home within it. He does not destroy the herd out of hate, he leaves it out of necessity. He is both serpent and star, both lion and child, both wound and weapon. He laughs at morality, for he knows morality is merely fear dressed as virtue. He writes his own commandments, not out of arrogance, but out of necessity, for no one else dares to write them. The herd prays for saviors. The overman saves himself. The herd seeks approval. The overman seeks transformation. The herd repeats, the overman creates. You must learn to walk this same path, the lonely ascent through your own madness. For the mountain of the soul cannot be climbed in company. Every step upward is a betrayal of comfort. Every breath, a rebellion against gravity. But at the summit, you will laugh, for you will see that the abyss you feared was only the shadow of your own potential. Yes, you will fall. Many times, you will curse your solitude, question your sanity, mourn the comfort you abandoned. But do not look back, for the herd will not wait. It will only consume. Keep climbing. The air will grow thin, the silence unbearable. But then, something miraculous, you will hear your own voice again. Not the voice taught by parents, priests, or politics, but the ancient voice that existed before language. The voice that says, I am. That is the beginning of freedom. And when you reach this point, you will realize the great secret. There was never a herd, never a crowd, never an enemy. There was only you divided against yourself. The noise you hated was your own fear made audible. The chaos you fled was your own birth. The gods you buried were your own forgotten divinity. And the silence you feared, that was the voice of your creator within. I tell you, the climb is long, but the view eternal. From the peak, you will see what no one below can imagine. that the noise was always a test, a sacred filter, a furnace through which only the strong of spirit emerge. The noise tried to drag you down to its level, but you rose not by shouting louder, but by listening deeper. You did not escape the world, you transfigured it. You did not flee the herd, you forgave it. For how could they know the song you hear, the fire you carry, the silence you have become? Now the fire begins to speak, not through words, but through the trembling of your bones. You have walked through the herd, through comfort, through the endless noise, and you have survived. Now comes the fever, the sacred delirium of awakening. Do not resist it. Let the storm enter you. Let it tear down every structure that was not born from your own will. For the Creator must first become the storm he fears. You have been told that madness is a curse. I tell you, it is initiation. The world fears the madman because he no longer plays by its rhythm. He has stepped outside the clock of conformity. He has seen eternity and can no longer kneel before minutes. When you are touched by madness, do not beg for healing, beg for clarity within the chaos. For the gods speak only through thunder, and thunder is misunderstood as noise by the deaf. I was not born a prophet. I became one the moment I lost the ability to belong. My laughter was mistaken for arrogance, my silence for despair. But I was only listening to the ancient pulse that beats beneath creation, the rhythm of being itself. And I discovered that sanity is the polite word for surrender. The sane man obeys, the madman sees, and those who see cannot live as slaves. You fear your own madness because you have never tasted its nectar. You think it will destroy you, and it will, but only what was false. Madness is the sacred fire that burns away, imitation. It strips you naked before your own soul. It roars, be who you are, or perish. And most perish, not because they are weak, but because they mistake themselves for their masks. The mask must die for the face to live. Do you feel it now, that trembling between terror and ecstasy? That is the doorway. Walk through it. On the other side lies not chaos, but the order that comes after surrender. You cannot control creation. You can only become its instrument. The Creator is not a planner, but à danser. He dances with chaos, not against it. Every step is destruction, every turn a rebirth. When you create, you must allow the unknown to move through you, to fracture your certainty, to possess your voice. You do not think creation, you survive it. That is what I learned in my madness, that to become divine, one must risk everything human. You cannot hold on to comfort and hold fire at the same time. The moment you choose truth, you are chosen by loneliness. The world of men will no longer understand you. Their words will sound small, their gods fragile, their dreams made of dust. You will wander in deserts of meaning. You will doubt yourself 1,000 times. But one night, one sacred night, the stars will begin to whisper your name, and you will understand that you are not lost. You are becoming cosmic. The Creator is not a man of peace, he is a man of transformation. He does not seek harmony with the world, he shatters it to rebuild it. His love is violence, but divine violence, the violence that liberates potential from decay. You have been taught to fear destruction, but destruction is sacred. Without it, nothing new can exist. The seed must split to become a tree. The ego must break to become spirit. The world must burn to remember the sun. You live in an age that worships comfort, but comfort is the graveyard of revelation. Revelation is born in crisis, in collapse, in contradiction. That is why the modern soul is sterile. It refuses to break. You cannot birth meaning without first bleeding illusion. Every enlightenment begins as an apocalypse. And the apocalypse is not coming, it is happening within you. Every time you lose what you thought you were, the world ends a little, and eternity begins. I laugh when I hear men say, "We are lost." You are not lost. You are shedding the noise you fear, the chaos you curse, the confusion you flee. All of it is divine surgery. The universe is cutting away the dead flesh of your identity so that the God within can breathe. Stop resisting the wound. Kiss it. The wound is the doorway. The blood is the initiation. When you finally stop running from your pain, it becomes your teacher. When you finally stop fearing your madness, it becomes your map. You must learn to write your own commandments, not borrowed from priests or prophets, but carved from your scars. The old laws rot because they were made for the sleeping. You are no longer sleeping. You have outgrown morality. Morality was made to keep the weak from devouring themselves. But you must now create your own law from within. Do not seek to be good, seek to be whole. For goodness without wholeness is hypocrisy, and wholeness without truth is corruption. The overman is not moral, he is musical. He lives by rhythm, not by rule. He does not ask, "Is this right?" he asks. "Does this sing?" And if it sings, he follows, even into the abyss. For the abyss is not punishment, it is potential. The deeper you go, the more starlight you find. That is why I do not fear darkness, I worship it. Darkness is not the enemy of light, it is its womb. Only those who descend can give birth to dawn. You must understand, the world will call this arrogance. It must. The moment you declare yourself creator, you blaspheme against every system that profits from your obedience. They will call your fire dangerous, your laughter cruel, your independence sin. But sin is only what threatens the herd, and the herd fears fire because it cannot control it. Be fire. Then, burn everything that refuses to burn with you. Do not explain yourself. Do not justify your vision. The sun does not apologize for rising. The storm does not ask permission to thunder. The artist does not need consent to create. To be divine is to be misunderstood. To be eternal is to be hated by the temporary. Let them speak. Their noise is the applause of your transformation. When I went mad, I saw God laughing, not in mockery, but in liberation. I realized that laughter is the highest form of prayer. The world of suffering collapses the moment you learn to laugh through it. Laughter is not denial, it is transcendence. It is the soul saying, "Even this pain cannot define me." Learn to laugh like the gods, not out of cruelty, but out of freedom. Laugh because existence itself is absurd and magnificent. Laugh because you survived your own annihilation. The herd prays for peace. But peace is death in disguise. They want silence, but not the silence of the soul, the silence of sedation. I offer you a different silence, the silence after the storm, when you are still trembling from revelation. That silence is holy. In that silence, you hear the hum of eternity. You realize that everything that ever frightened you was part of your becoming, that every fall was a flight in reverse, that every wound was a mouth through which the universe whispered your destiny. Do not seek to be perfect. Perfection is stagnation. Seek instead to be overflowing. The Creator is always spilling over, always giving birth to new worlds, new meanings, new possibilities. You must live so fully that even your suffering becomes creative. When you are rejected, make art. When you are betrayed, write poetry. When you are forgotten, build galaxies within. Turn every scar into a constellation. Let nothing in you go unused, not even your despair. I tell you, Despair is divine when you refuse to drown in it. The deepest night is not punishment, it is preparation. The stars are invisible in daylight because light blinds as much as darkness. That is why God hides in absence. That is why truth is veiled in silence. You must lose everything before you can see anything. You were taught to fear the unknown, I say. Become it. Let uncertainty be your homeland. Let paradox be your prayer. The Creator does not seek stability, he seeks ecstasy. Stability is for stones, ecstasy is for gods. And you, if you dare, will become one. For the divine madness is not chaos, it is clarity beyond comprehension. When you reach that state, you no longer ask, what is the meaning of life? You become the meaning. You no longer seek God, you breathe God. You no longer worship fire, you are fire. That is the secret they never told you. You are not the seeker. You are the sought. You are not the question. You are the answer, dreaming itself awake. The universe is not happening to you, it is happening as you. You are the laughter of the cosmos made flesh. The consciousness of eternity pretending to be mortal. So when the noise comes again, and it will do not descend to its level, let it rage. Let it mock. Let it demand your attention. Smile and stay silent. For the one who has found his inner fire no longer needs to shout. Noise cannot reach the one who has become sound. When I stand before you now, I do not speak to your mind. I speak to your buried divinity. The part of you that remembers stars, that aches for freedom, that burns for truth. I tell you, stop surviving and start creating. Stop reacting and start revealing. Stop seeking comfort and start becoming eternal. You are not here to be good. You are here to be God, the living expression of creation's madness and magnificence. You are here to love until love burns, to think until thought breaks, to dance until K's bows. You are here to make existence remember itself through your becoming. Now the fire softens. The storm has roared through your bones. And what remains is not ruin, but clarity. You stand here breathless, emptied, alive. The noise that once deafened you has become distant, like thunder retreating beyond the mountains. You have walked through madness and survived the truth that most never dare to face. You have become what the herd cannot imagine, a being who no longer needs noise to feel real. This is where the revelation dissolves into stillness. The silence after creation is not emptiness, it is fullness beyond sound. You are no longer asking what life means. You are breathing its answer. You have burned your illusions and found not ashes, but seeds. And now, from those seeds, something unspeakably vast begins to rise. Do not rush back into the world. Stay here, in the holy quiet that follows transformation. Listen, the world will call again. It always does. It will offer you its noise, its urgency, its validation. But you must learn the sacred art of not descending. You must learn to let the noise exist without letting it enter. For noise is the gravity of the fallen, and you were born to move by levitation. You cannot silence the world, but you can silence your reaction to it. That is mastery. The herd believes control means domination. It does not. Control is surrender without loss. It is the calm eye of the hurricane that knows its own center. When you find that stillness, nothing can drag you down, because you are no longer tethered to their volume. The overman does not shout to be heard, he whispers, and the world rearranges itself. He does not fight chaos, he befriends it. He does not flee noise, he turns it into rhythm. When insulted, he laughs. When praised, he forgets. When abandoned, he creates, for he knows that everything external is temporary, and everything eternal begins within. I once believed enlightenment was a mountain to be climbed, But now I see it as a descent. The higher I rose, the more I had to lose. The gods live not in the clouds, but in the depths. The ascent is the illusion. The fall is the truth. You fall into yourself until you reach the infinite. You fall until falling becomes flight. That is how you transcend, not by escape, but by surrender. You will return to the world. You must. The world needs the fire you carry. But return not as you were. Return as one who has died and remembered his eternity. Do not preach. Embody. Do not convert. Illuminate. Speak softly, for those who can hear will hear, and those who cannot are still dreaming. Every word born of silence carries more power than 1,000 sermons. They will ask, "What happened to you?" And you will smile. For how can one explain resurrection to the unbroken? How can one describe the sun to eyes that worship shadows? Do not try. Live in such a way that your existence itself becomes the explanation. Let your peace be your rebellion. Let your joy be your vengeance. Let your silence be your prophecy. I do not offer you certainty that is for the dead. I offer you movement endless, unpredictable, divine. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a melody to be danced. The universe is not asking you to understand it, it is asking you to participate. You are not here to observe, you are here to ignite. So when the noise of the world tries to drag you down, remember, noise cannot touch the one who has become music. You do not need to prove your worth to the unlistening. You do not need to shout your truth into the void. The void already knows. It has always known. You are its echo made flesh. I see the future of man, and it is both terrifying and beautiful. He will drown in his inventions until he learns again to breathe in silence. He will lose himself in imitation until the hunger for authenticity devours him whole. And from that ruin, a new kind of being will rise, one who no longer seeks God above, but awakens God within. That is the destiny written in your blood. Do not wait for history to approve of you. History is the diary of the asleep. The awakened write eternity, not chronology. Every act of authenticity is rebellion against time. Every moment you choose silence over noise, depth over performance. You steal a fragment of eternity back from oblivion. There will be days when you doubt again. The noise will return. The herd will tempt you with comfort disguised as kindness. You will ache for belonging. That is natural. You are still human, and humanity is the cocoon around divinity. But do not mistake nostalgia for truth. The past is a mirage designed to keep you small. Each time you fall, remember, falling is also flight. When you no longer fear the ground, you will know you are free when your solitude no longer feels like punishment. You will know you are eternal when the death of meaning feels like birth. You will know you have become divine when you no longer need to win. The noise of the world thrives on winners and losers, but the eternal knows neither victory nor defeat, only the infinite play of becoming. The saints were not pure, they were aflame. The prophets were not peaceful, they were possessed. The enlightened were not serene, they were surrendered. Do not strive to be calm, strive to be real. Calm, without depth, is anesthesia. Serenity, without fire, is apathy. You were not born to be tranquil. You were born to burn beautifully. I no longer believe in salvation, I believe in transfiguration. Salvation is escape. Transfiguration is evolution. You are not here to be saved from the world. You are here to transform it by transforming yourself. Every time you rise above noise, you lift the vibration of existence itself. You become the bridge between chaos and cosmos. You become the smile of God, looking back at creation. When you understand this, even suffering becomes sacred. Pain is not punishment, It is participation. It means existence still trusts you with intensity. Only the alive can feel deeply, and only the divine can turn pain into art. That is the alchemy of consciousness, to turn every wound into wisdom, every ending into beginning, every scream into song. You will meet those who mock you for this path. Let them. They laugh because they are afraid. They ridicule what they secretly crave. Their noise is their shield against silence. Do not shatter their illusions. The truth will find them when they are ready. Until then, bless them with your indifference. Compassion does not always mean involvement. Sometimes the kindest act is distance. I have seen eternity. And it does not shout. It breathes. It moves like a slow flame in the dark. It creates without permission, loves without possession, destroys without malice. To live like eternity is to live without noise, to speak only when words are prayers, to act only when action is creation. And so, I leave you with this. Do not let noise drag you down to its level. Rise above it, not with pride, but with presence. The noise cannot follow you into silence. Let the world scream its confusion you. Remain still. Let it drown in its own echo you. Listen to the hum beneath all things. There, in that hum, is the truth that has no opposite. One day, when the world collapses under the weight of its own chatter, when the gods of distraction fall silent, and the herd finally hears the echo of its own emptiness, they will look for a new prophet, but none will come. For the prophet is already here in you, in me, in anyone who dares to stand still amidst the storm. And remember, and when they ask, what remains when the noise dies, you will answer, not with words, but with being. For the one who has become silence no longer needs to explain. Only when you have lost every truth do you finally begin to speak your own. And only when you stop listening to the noise of the world do you finally hear the laughter of God within.